be live. We'll have a couple of folks join in here. Great blog post, Jason.
Thank you so much.
Let's bump that quality.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever the heck is going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed it this morning on the on my laptop screen, but on the larger monitor, I think because the pixels are farther apart, it looks fine. But as soon as I opened it up on my laptop, I'm like, oh dear, we're gonna have to do all of them here.
Oh, I appreciate it. Poke some folks. And I'll grab the meeting notes.
Luke says he's waiting to be let in.
I don't see his... Oh, there he is. Sorry about that. I know.
Hello.
Roy...
Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I think Roy will be another little while. He's in another call. I will quickly share.
Is there a way to add other people as like admins of the call? Like, I'm authenticated. I think you can hop in. You can request to be let in as a guest if you're unauthenticated or not. But since I am logged in, I expected it to like let me into the call right away. But maybe there's no way to do that.
I think maybe if I add you as like a guest ahead of time, we'll use your email as like the identifier, and you can join. I don't know about like team members, or I think I can maybe add you as a studio person.
Not that it matters, just if it seems like a redundancy thing. So that way, like if Jordan
when I
or
die,
Wes or other people are waiting to be let in, then
when I die,
just who's ever the first one, like, because that way, if anyone's ever like 1 or 2 minutes
Right.
late, then who's ever there first can just let people in.
For sure. Just quickly adding attendees. Might be a quick session today. I know also Jules is out.
Yeah, Jules is out. Wes can't make it.
Okay. Shared the meeting notes doc. Oh. I'll give him 1 more minute and then I'll kick things off. We can have a quick little huddle here. Okay. Well, thank you for the two of you jumping on. We are live on YouTube right now, so we are recording. I believe this is the fifth week that we've been running these community calls for folks that may or may not be watching this live or the recording. Feel free to join us. You can find the links either in our GitHub issues and or you can go to the I believe it's recording.vlt.sh and you can join the live recording and or the chat. to talk with us. These calls are intended for the Volt team to essentially work closely with the community, build new features, and talk about our roadmap. Um, these calls are recorded, and we ask that folks that jump on them do abide by our COC, our code of conduct, and TLDR. There is just always be kind. I'm not sure if we have any announcements. Actually, Jason, do you want to give a quick announcement for the blog post you just rolled out? Maybe give a brief on what it details or some of the features that we rolled out, I think, a couple weeks ago, but we're just talking about them now.
Yeah, the new blog post that we launched this morning was for the interactive query builder in the GUI now. So TLDR, you don't have to memorize the dependency selector syntax that we use at VLT. You're now just able to intuitively and interactively compose those queries yourself in the Explorer view on the GUI. It's fantastic for discoverability, and very soon we're going to be focusing more on actionability, actions that you can actually take with those composed queries. So stay tuned for that.
Nice. Yeah, I think is that the next thing you're working on, or do you got to land some changes to config as well?
Config is all set up now. It's working.
Okay.
It's working. Yeah, I just did a little bit of work this morning because there was a weird bug after linting and formatting on that settings PR. But everything's good to go now. I'm just waiting for Roy to give me the go ahead, and we'll review that together this afternoon as well. So yeah, I hope getting started on modifiers and overwrites in the GUI would be what I have next on my list. Just closing out some small benchmark things for today, though.
Do we have a backlogged ticket or issue for improving the search page results? I guess this kind of plays into it. Like, if you're going to take any kind of action or bulk actions, like you want like a header at the top of the search results page, right? So when a selector doesn't match just a single item and it matches like multiple items, we probably should have kind of like a default search experience has, where you can sort, by various properties, right? Like just like basic sort by name, sort by path, sort by version, or maybe some other things like that. Just to, it feels like that's missing today from our search results page, right? Maybe that, I'm not sure if we have that queued up or backlogged. Do you know?
We don't, but I can make a ticket for it, and it can go hand in hand with the next one.
Okay, I appreciate that. Just because it feels like it's missing, like that whole header. You can imagine like a whole header at the top of the search results. Then
right, I get what you mean.
It would be necessary for you to even click that header to select all. Let's say, like click a checkbox to select all, and then do an action. Let's say, but you would also want to potentially sort, by those things. So cool. But great work on amazing work on the query builder. I know it melted your brain for a while, right?
Just a little bit.
It melted your brain so much we had to give you a week-long vacation, right? So, no, it's awesome. So I'm excited to play around with it more myself. Cool. And the other thing, the only thing that we have on the agenda, unless there's other announcements, Luke, you can think of. I guess it's an announcement in and of itself. The item is that we've migrated the VSR library into the main monorepo, so the Vault PKG. So Jason, you may or may not have seen this over the last couple of days. We actually finally landed this. So now you can get your hands all over the registry, which is also necessary for some of the stuff that we've got backlogged, like file exploration or code exploration, and a bunch of other things that I know that you've wanted endpoints for. We might even be able to shove some of the stuff that was previously just in the UI behind the registry, like metadata fetching, which I think Luke and I were just talking about ecosystems before the call, and it sounds like that service is actually going to be changing its rate limiting um, posture. So it might mean that I think we're on the very, very low end. I don't think we're sending a ton of requests to ecosystems today, if we are at all. I think we might be for maybe it's the favicon. I forget which request you make, Jason, for to ecosystems. I think is it the stars? Is it the repo issues? I forget.
All of them.
All of them? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I thought we were still
for
hitting
the favicon, for both like the actual dependency package and also for the users, and then star count and issue count.
Okay, so we should be putting all of those
Yeah.
requests or all that behind the registry now, and be starting to hydrate essentially our own database of that information, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, so excited for that. Happy that it landed. Appreciate Roy and Luke's help to get it done. Luke is now the point person for the registry in VSR, which is great. He's going to be owning development on that. Yeah, Sparkle. And also, we made significant improvements to our benchmark suite, which you should sparkle yourself there, or confetti yourself, Roy, for all the hard work you did there. And Jason, you too. I'm going to ask you to take a pass maybe next week at updating the styles yet again, because I know I probably messed some stuff up that, the mobile styling could be better and things like that. But yeah, excited to see some improvements too for folks that are watching or listening in. We've made some major performance wins in the last week. There's a couple code paths that were not optimized that Roy found and fixed. So I'm happy that's we're now looking very competitive across all the benchmarks and all the fixtures. So we're, I think, second behind Bun right now. I don't want to hold my breath if we're going to be able to ever take first place, but that's we can just keep jam packing the CLI with features. So cool. I'm not sure if you guys had anything you want to talk about specifically with the registry, or anything roadmappy, or anything you want to chat about today, since it's just the four of us.
Yeah, what was there any demo, anything visual you got to show, want to show?
I mean, I would put Jason back on the spot to show GUI up demo, but I don't want to do that ad hoc. The poor guy would have a heart attack right now. I think he's trying to optimize images.
Right, the image for the blog.
Yeah. I think there was just, it looks like a rendering. It looks like some artifacting or just like blurriness on the banner image. So
the banner image.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine.
I mean, I could potentially demo the settings. I have it working here.
Oh, do you have that? Yeah, show that. I would love to see that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just need a couple of moments here to stash some changes.
No worries. So I think what you're going to be showing is like the 0 to 1 experience that a lot of people would have or wouldn't have yet, which we're hoping will one day experience. Running at least the GUI server for the first time, which we're transitioning to be the Volt server going forward. But today, if you spin up that experience, you'll spin it up using the VLT GUI commands. I think we'll be changing the name of that next week. But yeah, that essentially spins up the Project Explorer on your local machine. And I think, historically, there was a lookup algorithm that required us to set kind of like a default route in people's machines. And that was good and bad in some ways. It was kind of magical that we could find all the projects on people's machines, but it was also slow in terms of whether or not you have like 1,000, node projects sitting around. So, so great.
We can see your, yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So you want to go from visuals? 0 to 1? Yeah, we have visuals. We can see your screen.
Fantastic. So I just launched the GUI in the Vault Mono repo here, and this is great. I can explore my project, but you really want to explore other projects on your machine as well. So you can actually go into your dashboard, but you get this dialog here now that the dashboard location is not configured. And this is because we haven't set a dashboard root. So we could either use the default home directory on our machine, or we can actually go into the settings view. And from here, we're able to select the directory for the dashboard root. And I'll just select desktop, for example. I don't actually have anything on my desktop, unfortunately. So I'll just go in there and I'll also add my developer directory where I keep all my projects. And if I actually go back to my dashboard now, you can see that it's been populated with all of the projects in my developer directory. So this is the key first experience that you'll have launching the GUI if you haven't configured the dashboard root within your Vault JSON yet. And we hope to continue expanding the settings view. Looks a little bare bones right now, but it's a great stepping stone into all the amazing config settings that we could toss in here.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm super excited to see the management of the project config and the user config from here, from the UI. I think it also makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more friendly to end users. So definitely looking forward to how we solve that specific, UX in here.
Are you thinking like in terms of also like syncing with remotes? So syncing with our service, essentially?
Not even thinking about that yet. But yes, there's another kind of challenge to add to it. But no, I was only thinking like, okay, should we have, one of the things I was discussing with Jason already today is that, okay, should we have a nested route for, you're in a project, your /explore/settings to change the settings for that given project, right? Like so it puts that VLT.json file in your project folder, right? Otherwise, should you just, always assume it's I think it should, right? Like it should just assume it's the user level config that should be changed, right?
Yeah, we should probably differentiate between the two in that view. Like show this was what was defined. Kind of like if you look at the old npm config. So Jason, I'm not sure if you know this, but definitely Luke and Roy know it. If you run npm config, the CLI tool, npm config get, that subcommand of the subcommand,
right.
You'll get a split output that shows at the top of it. It'll show the like global or user level config, and then I'll show the project
split output. I don't remember that.
Yeah, so it's split by a comment. And the comment is
I think I remember that.
INI formatted comment with the file name associated with the explicit config that's set. And so you can imagine in the UI here, we should probably have it split out that way, and or just like maybe there's some kind of like tab nav for the config, like user and then project or something like that, tab navigating between the two. There is a design challenge here in terms of how we show, and if we want to show like consolidated config, or to your point, have them explicitly separated out, like user versus project level config.
Yeah. And if we show project, like if we have a view for the project config level, right? Like we also need a way to merge them, right? Like to let the user know that the user config is applying here, even though you don't have a value set.
Maybe it's only read only if it's in, to your point about having a deeply nested route to like a settings view for a project. Maybe the user config shows up there if it's not defined by the project, but it's a read only. And then you have to, like, if you want to change that user level config, it's like in a user settings, like top level config somewhere else, right? So like exactly what this is, like really. Sure. And then there's, exactly.
Yeah. It would be more the other way around. Like we need to implement one for the project level.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Yes. This is already exactly. So you know what? This already exists. So now we just need the Okay.
Yeah. And I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited about that because, then we can start pointing people into, even getting more familiar with custom registry protocols, right? Like we could be prioritizing certain types of configs that the user definitely want to look at for the project versus, we could also be hiding some that, are more unlikely to be used, right? Like we could have an advanced drop down like that expands the full range of options so that we don't have to just like have 50 input fields thrown at the user right away. But yeah, no, I think the potential there is it's huge. So great work, Jason. I love the
Yeah. And there was some I know behind the scenes work you had to do to work around the poor UX in the browser. So I won't go into too much detail, but you know all the possibilities for that those endpoints. But yeah, that's I'm excited about what comes next. So for you, you're thinking next week we could potentially look at making things more actionable as a next step of the interactive query building. And then after that, to play on top of this, I think it is the file explorer, right? Like in the next, yeah. Awesome. And ideally, ideally by that point, in let's say a week or two, you'll have, you'll be pulling from like the actual real endpoints. Oh, Jordan's jumping on.
hello.
Sorry, I'm late. I had a conflicting meeting, but it ended early.
No worries.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, great to see you. Yeah. So I think one more thing, just on the tangent of UI, of the front end UI stuff, right? Like, I think the thing that I would love us to have, ideally, ideally until October, we'll see about that. But like having more options on the package management, like core functionality, right? Like, so one thing I think I have two specific things in mind. The update workflow, outdated slash updated package workflow. I think that's one that with the potential in the UI, in the browser-based UI is huge. And the other one is just having a more advanced view that allows you to just add, packages in bulk, like across workspaces, right? Like just a view that allows you to add a bunch of packages all at once, right? Like, and potentially also remove from a bunch of workspaces and across your entire project. I think it's kind of missing that right now, because right now, just to recap for maybe not everyone is aware, but the browser-based UI, it can install packages. You can navigate to a specific workspace or your project root. There's a button to add a new dependency. That's there. You can also remove. You can also from the list of dependencies, you can select and uninstall from the I think it's a right click menu right now, right? Jason, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
So we can add and remove dependencies. The very basics of the package management are there, right? Like, and of course, you can navigate the graph in a much more interactive way. But I think it's the missing pieces here to have just a cohesive, like, and holistic like experience is outdated. The potential is huge, right? Like to have an amazing like UI like in the browser that lets you just update dependencies. And I think installing dependencies in bulk, like it's is also like a particular kind of UI that could be very very good, a net new improvement. Like it's something you cannot do from the CLI. Like it's very hard, and I think like some scenarios are actually impossible from the CLI. Like if you want to be picking and choosing, okay, this workspace, I want to install this package, this other, like.
I think the only problem there is like it's an atomic operation, and like if one of those fails for some reason, it becomes really tough to.
No. So yeah, no, that's the beauty of it is that the low level API, not really low. It's the Graph API, but like it actually supports it. So it's a single call. It's a single install call. We can install all of them. Like we can be refined each package into the right workspace. The low
But
level
if there's a
support is already
if
there.
there's an error in any given one of them, let's say I mistype something, right?
But then it's the same as as you would have an error if you just you have a typo in the name.
Well, that's
right?
where I'm like bulk doesn't. I guess I'm challenging whether the bulk is that useful, like compared to. I think you're right. The updating, finding
Yeah.
and quickly updating
Yeah.
packages, that's great. What we're also missing is publishing, right? So a quick button to publish one of your projects, that publish workflow.
True,
Yeah.
true. Publishing is also fundamental. You're right. You're right. I think that would be a third one. Yes, yes. But
I think
no,
bulk
but
bulk adding, I'm like,
no, but bulk. Hear me out. The scenario where you really need bulk, like it's monorepos, right? Like because let's say I want to install ESLint to all my workspaces. How do you do that from the browser-based UI? It would be a nightmare. You have to go into everyone, like click the plus button, add ESLint, install, right?
right. So it's the
Super repetitive.
bulk actions in general, I think falls under the multi-select, or the basically what we were just talking about. So the search or multi-selected view, selected item view, where there's multiple selected, that's where you essentially want to be able to select all that came up from that and do like a bulk action against them.
Right. Like the kind of what we call the search results. Like
search, yeah, we call it the search result or the So that's exactly what we were talking about. Like you want to be able to take an action against all of these that come back. So you, like you just said, you start with the query of I want to get all my workspaces. So you just do the colon workspace. Or I want colon project, whatever that selector would be. And you get back, let's say, the 10 workspaces that I have configured. Then you could bulk select and then add, like install. The action would be install.
You could have operations.
Operations,
you could,
right?
Yeah, you could add operations there. Yeah, so like install and then, but but I mean, sounds pretty similar to what I'm talking about. It's just a different kind of. It's not necessarily an exclusive view, but at the end of the day, I think it's trying to solve that scenario, right? Like how do you?
Yeah, but it's just install, remove. It's kind of if you even a good analogy would be go to GitHub's issues today, right? The issues table. If you look at that issues table, you can select a whole bunch of issues either independently or you can select all of them in that row. You get like 25 by default, and you can click on, let's say, add label, right? Or you could add an assignee for the issue, right? So that's like a bulk action of like either tagging all the issues with a label or untagging them all. So you could imagine that exactly to your point, we would create either a drop down or some sort of action once you've selected, essentially the targets. We could call it these essentially the targets that we're going to do some action against, right? So. But yeah, I do agree that would be a much simpler way, and there's no way to do that today. Well, I guess there is a way to do that today using queries, right? Like in the command line itself, right? But
right.
But you have to write the query, right? This is click, like the idea is like playing into the interactive package management, which is I get to click around. I can find all my workspaces easily and then click to install. And maybe even autocomplete like the package name that I'm installing or uninstalling. So yeah, cool. I do think that is coming up. I think that's like next for who knows how long that's going to take, but it's on I think Jason's radar next to do it. So cool. Jordan, anything on your mind? I know we talked a little bit about, and the one thing that we had on our agenda was the fact that we've landed VSR or the registry into the monorepo. So it's now living alongside the client, which means if you're wanting any net new endpoints, let us know.
Well, I mean, I think I tried it out the first time, like at JSConf EU, when you first released it. And I haven't just taken the time to go back to it since. But the use case that I would really want is to just run it on my own machine at all times, transparently npm install from it, or volt install from it, always, but have it just automatically proxy and cache everything from public npm, and that way I don't need internet to install anything I've installed before, and I can, and I'm, more advanced stuff would be like setting up cache pruning policies so that it doesn't like fill my entire hard drive, because despite the node modules memes, I actually don't have that many node modules on my machine across my hundreds and hundreds of projects that I have fully installed. That's just overinflated memes. But if I cached every version of every package that I installed, I'm pretty sure it would be large. But like, so I'm assuming that those use cases aren't entirely ready yet, but if they are, then I would love to start doing it for all my plane travel.
Proxying. We're not talking about
Sweet.
it quite yet. We are really testing it with some early users, testing that capability. We would love if you tried it out, and give us feedback.
Yeah,
but
let's talk about it offline, and we'll get me set up, and I'll try it out.
Yeah, it should be as simple as routing. So because there is a private package registry instance, that instance lives alongside essentially this upstreaming capability. So it is nested under /npm. So as soon as you spin up the proxy registry or spin up the registry, there's a /npm route that, like, if you configure that to be your registry config in your package manager of choice, then it should proxy all the requests and start to hydrate that local cache. So
cool. Yeah, that I feel like that functionality, like you've been able to do that with Verdaccio and Sinopia for well over a decade, right? So once your registry supports it, right? Like the rest of it's pretty turnkey. The part that's complicated that I don't think anyone's done super well is the caching stuff. So like npx and npm have a cache that they use, and this registry will be a cache, and then I have all my local things. And so certainly if I'm using pnpm or volt or yarn pnp, right, like where I have one copy of each module on the machine and they're sim linked around, then like that's very efficient use of disk space. It doesn't address the npm npx caching, but if in that world I'm not using npm or npx. But in the current world where I am continuing to use it to replicate the experience that most of my package users will have, it would be really cool if there was a way to set it up so that outside of the individual node modules directories, I only had one copy of any given package version on my machine. And that is probably going to be more complex. There may or may not be the needed hooks in npm npx to do it, but having that kind of story would be really nice. And it would, in the same way as like, throw solar panels on your house and get some backup batteries, and now like all your stuff just works and you're more independent, right? Like it'd be like, just throw VSR and on your machine, and now like, your personal laptop will work the same whether you have internet or not, more or less. Like that's sort of a nice story to tell and a nice developer experience, and I personally would benefit from that. So like that's a bunch of different pieces that are not reasonable V1 asks, but just sort of painting a picture of what's in my head about it.
Are you coming out to JSConf?
Yeah, I will definitely see you there.
Okay, so we would love for you to be, on the airplane and using VSR essentially to continue to be productive, right? That's the idea.
I have a flight. So, I have a flight in a week. Same thing, right? Like, I have a lot of long flights coming up where I would love the ability to npm install with abandon, despite the crappy airplane internet.
It should work is the key. Well,
cool.
Key there being should. But you said one name that I don't think I've heard of before. So you said Verdaccio, and what was the other name you said?
Oh, Sinopia was the free product that predated Verdaccio. So it's only us like elder npm using folks that would be really into it. But like I was at Airbnb from 2015 to 2015 to 2019, and they had an internal Sinopia instance, but then Sinopia was unsupported right around 2015, and by 2016 or 17, I think we fully migrated over to Verdaccio, which was the sort of forked open source replacement of that.
You got the repo last commit 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Okay, so truly, we are one of the few games in town.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Verdaccio is the free, like the free option, and then there's Artifactory, and NPM has, I think they still have a SaaS product, and GitHub packages, and then VSR, right? Like those are your options. So and I guess
VSR is the
JSR.
free option as well, by the way. As long as
There
you're
you go.
not doing
So, yeah.
anything competitive, then and it's in my understanding, it's the most active at this point.
Is
well,
it under the
unfortunately.
BSL or FSL or something? One of those?
It's
or-
a FSL. So
Yeah, cool. That's great.
so that's depending on how you feel about that, but I think that that's the right license for us. It's eventual open source. It gives us a
Yeah, I
really
mean,
competitive
there's
window. So
there's a whole podcast one can have about feelings about licenses, but I mean, something that reverts to MIT in 2 years it's hard to yell too much about it, although I'm sure people will try.
right, but it gives us a reason, as the CEO of the company, gives me a reason
Yeah.
to invest in it for
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Anything that gets more money
Yeah,
into
no,
open source is a good thing.
Totally.
It might not be forever, but at that point we'll have a lot of money to fix the problem.
Nice. Awesome. And yeah, we would love for you to test it. So and give us your feedback, especially because I know you are an active user of Verdaccio today for proxying and that specific use case. So Luke notably is taking point. So if you funnel messages through me, I'm just going to offload that to him. So you can go directly.
I will cut out the middleman.
Yeah, I will.
Sorry in advance, Luke.
I think I've been in this. I think I've been in this role before for you specifically.
Touché.
So I enjoy it. I don't think I would have. I'd keep doing this if I didn't enjoy it. So yeah, DM me or community. I'm fine if you post in the community channel and I'll see it. Like
Yeah,
I
of
see
course.
all our channels. So just depending on however you want.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Basically, if something's not working the way you want it to work, go talk to him. He's the one thing we are working on right now, which I think we can share, is upstreaming private package requests. So that is something that doesn't work today. So only public package, and this might not be relevant for you, although I know you're maybe one of the few customers of private packages on NPM.
I don't actually have any, but I'm probably one of the few people that can have them.
Right.
Notably,
you're on the
NPM
free
still charges
plan,
me.
right?
Yes, yeah, they charge me $7 a month for the free plan that, at the time of GitHub acquisition, was supposed to become free and never did.
You should get your lawyers involved on that one. I think that
it costs them so much more to keep.
You know how many months
just
of
recording.
$7 it would take to be worth legal fees?
Yeah, true. It's unfortunate. I think here in Canada, if you win the case, they have to pay your legal fees. But I think it's
that's here too. It's just you have to pay them in the meantime. And in the battle of attrition, big company lawyers are going to win against my wallet any day.
Yeah, Microsoft has got some deep pockets.
Yeah.
So okay, so yeah, feel free to funnel any gotchas, but we do think it's pretty like I was testing it today, testing it last night. We cut a bunch of releases last night to fix a couple gotchas with the install and the initial bootstrapping. So hopefully the pace of development is going to increase here as well. So yeah.
What about publishing or other commands like dist tag set and deprecate and like stuff that doesn't need to talk to VSR at all? So it can be proxied, but like maybe shouldn't.
So okay, your private VSR instance, it has support for all of those, right?
Okay, it just proxies them through.
One sec. Your private instance, so if I'm publishing a package into the private part of VSR, it's like my private registry instance, meaning that I have access to manage all the dist tags and everything. What we don't have today, it's with the proxying capability, it's really just a read proxy today. It's not a write proxy. So what we need to do in terms of being able to support, let's say what you're talking about is like those access management and those other kinds of right operation features to an upstream, is we need to pass through like the auth token, which we're not doing today. We're not handling the auth token. We just like let it fall on the ground today if you pass us a token to that proxy endpoint. But there are certain endpoints that are supported in both that local instance as well as the proxied instance, like ping and who am I and some other stuff. But we are working on, and Luke is going to be working on this week and next week, the authorization to read private packages. And so it's just inevitable that we would add,
Right.
disk tag management, upstream disk tag management, and other things that we could just proxy transparently for you.
Right. Okay, so that what that does mean though is, so like you implied that I'd been actually using Verdaccio. I've used it in the past for that, but I just don't have a public registry now. I just when I'm on a plane, I just use the npm offline config and I just have it pull from my local cache, which is okay. But what this essentially means is that I would need to explicitly point to my VSR instance for when I wanted the offline option, or I would need to explicitly point to the public NPM when I was doing write actions in the meantime. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So that. So there, exactly. Yeah. And then we're going to quickly solve that. Like within the week, we'll have that.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah.
Perfect.
But
My flight's in
like
slightly more than a week.
when's your flight?
The 13th.
Okay. We'll. I'm not going to promise for Luke, but I think we could.
That's okay. Yeah.
I'd
If
like
it's
to have you
available in
test it.
time, that's the soonest I can truly test it without internet.
I think we can have you fully supported in that regard without the disk tag management team and access and org. Yeah. That's a separate.
I usually do that stuff on the website anyway. Well, not the disk tag, but everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're excited about that, and obviously it's there in the repo, which means PR is welcome as well. If there's like something that you want to see or want us to
saying you
add.
want me to maintain another package? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not saying you maintain. Honestly, though, you could create issues, right? We have a feature template, feature issue templates, and stuff like that. So if you play with it and you come across a bug, feel free to file a bug. Or if you have a feature request, this is the one thing that we were missing, right? In our conversations from 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was a missing piece of the conversation, right? It was always, we could provide you the client experience or command. We were missing the ability to fully actualize or realize it, usually on the registry side. And so I think that because we have the end-to-end user experience here by owning the infrastructure piece as well, I think there's opportunity for us to do something a little bit more unique in terms of the features that you might want.
Right.
Yeah, some of the low-hanging fruit is like filtering documents, like just basic pagination or like things like that that you were like, have probably wanted for a long time. I think more aggressive and interesting opportunities are like the reproduce metadata, right? Like reproducibility metadata that I know that you're interested in. I mean, question for you is, I think you started to host some of that yourself on some piece.
I've begun to build a project that is nowhere near finished yet, but the intention is to abuse GitHub pages and GitHub Actions free availability to its maximum capacity, and eventually have a publicly verifiable and replicatable registry of reproduction results for every NPM package. And I'm starting in chunks with the top, N packages, of course, and then once I have that solid, then I'll expand it and see how long it takes before Microsoft yells at me. But
yeah, you're going the Cocoa Pods route, where you're going to see how far you can go until GitHub complains about your size of your Git repository.
That's right. But hopefully at that point, it's a valuable enough resource that there will exist at least one company who would be willing to fund it, perhaps even Microsoft, especially because all of the people funding OpenSSF for years have told me that this type of effort would be too expensive to scale. If I can demonstrate that it's actually pretty cheap to scale, then they will be hard pressed not to pay for it.
I think the only concern is that it's a time, like reproducibility, as you know, like it's a point in time, right? So yeah. So it's
and the design I've got set up there, it tracks the reproduction results over time, like, and also over the version of the reproduce client. So essentially, every time there's an update, it'll rebuild using that new reproduce version for every package eventually. And so my hope is that I'll eventually have a website where you can go type in a package name and it will show you the most recent reproduction results, if there's new ones that haven't been built yet, and what the old ones were, and like the score over time and all those things. And for packages without a build process, it should be nearly 100% confidence. And for packages with a build process, my hope is that it can be in the 90s for most cases.
Right. It sounds like an impossible amount of data to handle.
It's going to be very large, which is why I like it. But if I can even demonstrate that it's viable and useful and interesting on the top 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 packages on NPM, then it would not be unreasonable for one or multiple companies to just take the open source stuff and put it up and then say, here's our real thing you can rely on. And now you've got, the same way you can hook into Socket or Sneak or whatever and gate your installs on security checks, right? You could also say you could also prevent somebody from installing into your project something that isn't sufficiently reproducible.
So as the team behind the reproduce clients, I feel like we are very interested in potentially hosting this information and or having this as a service inside the registry itself, right?
Yeah. As soon as I feel like it's reliable enough to invest anything in, you're the first ones I will talk to. But GitHub has more money than you, so I'm gonna let them bear the cost as long as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, keep the POCs to their infrastructure for now. Yeah, great idea. I
also have a good amount of Azure credits from the GitHub Secure Open Source Fund, so I can fall back to that as well before reaching into anyone's pockets.
I mean, if you want a subset of the subset, you just go to the AlphaX or the known OpenJS member projects, and is that right? Member projects, is that how you say it? Or project?
Well, I already have a data source that I scrape for the top 50,000 packages, so I don't have to do that math. This is just getting me a list of package names, and then for those, I'm going and grabbing every version and trying to reproduce them.
Well, the only reason why I say where I was going with that is that there might be transitives for the member projects that aren't in that top 50,000 that you kind of want the whole. Don't take the salsa approach where I'm totally fine because my direct dependencies are fine, right? Like
right.
That's not the right approach. Like you need to.
I think we can all rest assured that I'm not going to be forgetting about transitive dependencies.
Right. As the one who's living in all of our transitive dependencies, I think that you're hiding. I shouldn't say living. You're hiding that. But
quietly resting.
Yeah. This is why I try to bubble wrap you every time I see you, and take care of you. So I know we're running up on time here. We have about 10 minutes. I'm not sure if there was any other subjects that folks wanted to go into, or any other news or announcements. Even Jordan, you might have on your radar. But
I mentioned we could potentially just show an update on the benchmarks.
Do you want to do it? I mean, you're the one that did most of the work behind getting them strung up. Jordan will be maybe interested to see, because I don't know if we've shared it with him. But even in the last week, we've addressed a bunch of low-hanging fruit in terms of performance of the client itself. So this doesn't even include yet, which we're hoping to include, views on VSR performance versus Redatio versus direct NPM consumption, which is a view of the world that we want to show folks eventually. But right now, this maybe you can speak to the suite of what we're looking at, Roy.
Yeah, we're looking at very pretty benchmarks. They look very good now. Because I think the last time we shared this, it was just a plain HTML page still. So now it has a style on it. It's looks very good, and yeah, we have more data here, right? In this table formats too. And here we have the total install time, and what we're looking at here is that we have this 8 different scenarios here. So basically here, this one we're looking at is basically almost a no-op. You already have cache modules, a log file, and a node modules folder. So you can kind of, here will be like a code cache, right? You can kind of jump around them and compare the performance of each package manager. So this first presented charts here are the install time per package. If you scroll down, we have like the total install time for each of the fixtures. We have 4 at the moment. We have Astro, Next.js, Vue, and Svelte. And you can kind of like jump around and see the results across these different kind of variations.
Is smaller better on all of these?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the install time, yes. So and if you're looking for like a total install time, you want to be looking at the second chart, right? Like that's and this one is breaking down the install time per package. So there is a little
slow.
Sorry?
Yarn's way slower than I would have expected.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the Yarn
V1,
V1,
right?
and there's
Berry,
Berry,
Well,
which
that's
is
the one
purple.
most people use.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. No, yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, and me and Darcy, we had a little bit back and forth whether we should be presenting the total install time first or the per package install time. I guess that's all like kind of like
Well, the reason why I propose and it doesn't matter which one comes first, I don't care that much. Although the per package install time normalizes for those the differences when there's graph inaccuracies or graph differences between the package managers. So if one package manager installs 100 dependencies and another one installs 1,000, you do care about the total install time, but that might also just be a misconfiguration or something like that, like a missed, something that's a little bit off there. So we do try to normalize out the differences between the actual number of dependencies being installed with that per dependency number. So it's just kind of helpful to see that normalized. And what's even more helpful is across. So there's roughly 32 total tests. So across the fixtures and the variants are like the cache versus cache plus log file versus cache plus log file node modules, all those different variants. We essentially averaged out that per package like average, and that's where you get that leaderboard score at the top, which shows Volt's actually second right now across the board. So only beat out by Bun today. So
I have a question. How long for one of these arbitrary packages, how long does it take to generate all this data?
Sorry, so for one package, are you talking about the fixture?
Like if I said I want you to add package foo to this page, right? Like setting aside whether that's you want to put it on the front page, blah blah blah. How much time would it take to generate all of the data so that you could add it in like that?
You mean like time wise running the action in order to
running all the benchmarks and stuff.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's super slow. I mean,
it's like a half hour to run the entire benchmark suite.
Yeah, the entire benchmark
with all the packages.
I think it's an hour. No, is it half an hour or an hour?
Okay.
I think it's up to an hour, like depending.
But if you're saying if there was only one package in the projects that we have here,
Well,
and only
what
one
I'm
fixture,
the
I think
idea
one-
that popped into my head. Let me give you. This was
Yeah.
maybe this is an XY thing.
Explain.
Was I want to click a button and type a package name and have it launch a GitHub code space and compute all the data and then report back and just inject the data into this page so that I can compare any arbitrary package to this. But if it's going to take 30 minutes to generate that data, that's not really useful. But if it was going to do it in like 3 minutes, I'll sit there for 3 minutes, like running a code space on my own
It is
GitHub.
about 3 minutes per scenario. You kind of like got it there. I think that's the time for each one, because in total here we have a total like of 33 actions that kind of run in parallel to calculate
Mhm.
benchmarks, and each one of them is running the 7 package managers we have here, right? So the matrix.
Right.
we could get faster by using web containers. I haven't tested like Bun and Dino in web containers. I know that it works for npm, pnpm, and Yarn do work in web containers. So we could
Would that
potentially
be
spin that up.
representative for the performance, though?
I mean, they would be essentially all constrained by the same constraints in terms of the
Yeah,
environment,
okay.
right? So it would
That's
be
fair.
a virtualized or synthetic Linux environment running in the browser. But that's one way to like make performance happen even faster. And again, you would be testing really that cold cache versus like warm cache versus lock file or no lock file. You're not really testing the environments here. Like we're only testing a single environment, which is actually listed at the bottom. So if Roy scrolls to the bottom, we actually list that this was this was a half hour to run on a Linux machine. We didn't test on Mac and Windows. So that's another
True. Another
added dimension to the matrix that we could potentially run. So but yeah, if you do want that, like that's something we could add to this suite.
Yeah, just because like it's not scalable to add any arbitrary package to the display for everyone. But if there's a way I can just do it for me and play with it, that would be really
I think that's a great idea, because like we want people to play with this and come to this page. So I think we should add that to the top of the page, like add new package. Yeah.
Sounds like a fun hackathon project.
We have hackathons here, Roy. Okay.
Right.
Every day is a hackathon day, so go at it. Go at it.
So no, yeah, but maybe just to wrap up, like I think talk about a little how this works. It's all it's running on GitHub Actions. It's using Hyperfine, so it's really running from the shell as if we're spawning each one of the package managers. And yeah, we run about 10. Yeah, we run 10 runs per package manager. We have clean up and kind of like we're using like prepare steps and conclude to kind of like just make sure the scenario is normalized, right? Like if you're running if you want to test a code cache install, then you make sure wiping out the log file, wiping out the cache, right? Like all of that. So
it takes a lot of work. It's to be quite honest, this is not easy to configure all these different tools. If you click actually on the run as well, you'll notice that we actually have a section for task execution. So obviously the majority of any given task that gets executed is actually the thing that you're doing in it, and not just like we read from package JSON and executed, or spawned a child process, right? Like, though we imagine that there's more pipelining things that we might want to test in the future, or new capabilities we might want to test. So in this specific example, we're actually including other tools that aren't just package managers. So NX and Turbo Repo and Node explicitly are added here to this suite. So yeah, there's opportunities for us to expand like what this benchmark suite shows, but yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. Great feedback, Jordan. Let's go. I don't know who's going to go add the web container version. Can we tell AI to go do that? But maybe.
Well, I mean, you could even run it in a code space using Act, just as is. Like you don't necessarily need web containers.
P.S. We tried using Act for this project specifically, there was problems with it. I don't
Well,
know.
the default image that Act uses is not the same one that GitHub uses, because the one GitHub uses is very large. So I think you can ferret out the URL for the correct one and then run it, and I think that you'll get better results, but it's slower because it has to download that image. So I usually don't bother with the bigger image for most things.
That's cool. Yeah, I might poke you then, because I had some problems setting up Act, and it would be great for us just in general.
Yeah.
I know if anybody uses Actions a lot, we've started using Actions quite a lot, and it's just a headache to have to basically be testing and prod, constantly.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Totally.
cool. Thank you for jumping on, and hopefully we'll see you next week and have more to share in the next week, and maybe even get you using VSR on a regular basis. That'd be great. So
Love it.
cool. Talk to you
Thanks,
folks soon.
everybody.
Awesome. Bye.